Okay, before we get started, just wanted to show you a couple examples. I made one solid, one duotoned. My head is about 21 inches around, so the final product is gonna measure, it's about 20 inches around. This is 10 inches. And top to bottom, it's about 2.5 inches. I have a lot of hair, so if it's any thicker, it looks a little weird on me, but you can adjust the height by adding more rows. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Like maybe if you have a little bit of thinner hair, I think it might work better for you to do that. But this pattern is very easily customizable. So what you're gonna need, I am using a 9mm hook, if I can get it to focus. Yes, okay. 9mm hook. This is from Clover Amour. Obviously scissors, tapestry needle. I also highly recommend having a couple stitch markers on standby. It'll come in handy because we're working in the round. Personally, I get confused by that a lot. And then I'm gonna use two colors. This is Salt Hue and Me, and this is Sea Glass. And it's weight 5. You can get it at Joann's. I believe it's Joann's exclusive, so that's what I'm working with. Let's get started. So I am going to start with a slip knot. This is how I make mine. I grab it with these fingers down here. I make, oops, got caught on my nail. I make an X on the bottom kind of, and then twist, and then I hold it down with my ring finger, and then I go underneath, and I pull through. And I like doing it that way because that's like, if you haven't learned the magic circle, that's like 90% of it. Okay, and then I'm gonna chain. I like to wrap my yarn around my finger twice for tension. So to make a chain, I've got my hook, I've got my yarn. I'm gonna wrap my yarn around, grab it with my hook, twist a little bit, and pull through. And I'm going to make a chain of 42. So I'm gonna do the same thing 42 times. Okay, I have my chain of 42. Now we have to connect end to end to make a circle. So we're gonna be working in the back loop of this first row, but what I like to do to get started at least, I'm gonna bring these two ends together and I'm gonna fold them. And we wanna make sure we don't have any twists or anything, so I'll like line up the back sides. Those are the back bumps. And let me zoom out a little bit. So I'll take my hook out. This is the beginning. And then this way I have the chains, the V's facing out, no twists. Okay, I'll put my, making sure that we didn't lose this loop on the end here. What I will do is find this first chain, and I'll actually go into the middle of it and then slip stitch right there. Oops, there we go. And then slip stitch. And then I'm gonna chain 2. Right from right there. And then I'm flipping over to find the back bump. If you've never worked into the back bump, flip it so you can see the chains on the front and then turn it over, and that right there is going to be a back bump. Now, because I chained 2, we're gonna skip the first back bump, which is right there. Right there. And I'm gonna move into this one right here. And I'm going to single crochet. You might have to work your hook into it a little bit, that's normal. And then I'm gonna chain one. Same thing, I'm skipping this next back bump and going into the back of the next one. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull it through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and then you can yarn over and pull through those 2. And we're gonna repeat this chain one, skip a stitch, single crochet in the back bump all the way around until we reach the end, and I will show you what to do when we get there. Okay, so when you get to the end of row 2, I just want you to understand like what we're looking at here. So I have my chain one right here, which we're gonna use to skip this chain down below, and then this is the slip stitch, and we're also going to skip that as well and go directly into the chain 2 space, which should be pretty obvious. Again, if it's not though, that's totally fine. Hopefully the stitch marker will help you locate that. So we're gonna slip stitch into the chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 1. Anytime we chain 1, we are going to be directly single crocheting into the immediate next stitch from the row below. In this case, it's the foundation row. If that's confusing, don't worry, just watch me do this. So I chained 1, and then I'm going to go into right here, and I'm single crocheting. And before I forget, because I'm a good little crocheter, I am going to attach my stitch marker to the chain 1, so I don't forget where it is. And then same thing, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to skip this single crochet, find the next chain space, go right below it, and that's where I will continue placing my single crochets. And I'm kind of going through 2 loops as I do this. Chain 1, same thing. So I believe this is actually, it would be the back loop and then the back loop, like the back bump, and then the back loop of the stitch. If that's confusing, again, don't worry too much about it. We're gonna be actually crocheting on the flip side of this at the end of the project, so you won't even really be able to tell. So yeah, we are just going to continue single crocheting, chaining 1, skipping a stitch, and then single crocheting. It's technically 2 rows below into the foundation row, and that's something that we will do throughout this project. So I am just going to keep repeating this, and I will meet up with you before I slip stitch to the chain 1 at the beginning of this row. Okay, we're at the end of round 2, and if you look at it from the top, all that's left is the slip stitch. So instead of chaining 1, we're going to end on this single crochet, and then I'm going to take this off really quick. We're just going to slip stitch directly into the chain 1 space. And now we chain 2. And because we're chaining 2, this is like, it's like a chain 1 plus another like chain 1 space. So we're gonna skip, like we're not gonna go right here, skip this single crochet, and then we're gonna go directly into the row below. And I know it looks a little nutty down there. Try and find this piece, and that's where I'm headed. So skipping this, got my chain 2, insert your hook. It's okay if you have to like wiggle it in there. Single crochet, chain 1, skip this stitch into this part. Again, I mean, it's good to aim for the same spot every time. Nobody's really going to be able to tell if you do it like here instead of here. So try not to get too hung up on that look. I'll do it. And this is what we're going to do all the way around until we reach the end. So I just wanted to point out too, this is from the previous row. We're going into the single crochets that actually went into the foundation row. So you're always inserting it 2 rows below. Okay, I'll catch up with you at the end of this. Okay, check it. I'm at the end of my 3rd row. I have a chain 1 on my hook. I'm going to skip this single crochet, and because this is the slip stitch, I'm also skipping it. And I'm going to go directly into the chain 2 space. There we go. Now I chain 1. This is the one that confuses me more, so I'm marking it. Don't think you're too good for stitch markers either. Seriously, they help so much. Okay, I have my chain 1, and if you remember from before, when we're chaining 1, we're gonna go directly into the stitch from 2 rows below. So chain 1, and it's the top of this one. It gets a little bit easier now. The first 3 rows are like the hardest part, I swear. Okay? And then we're chaining 1, skipping this stitch. We're going to go directly into this one with a single crochet. Chain 1, skip, down below. Once again, we are just going to repeat the single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and single crochet into the 2 rows below. And I will catch up with you at the end of this row, and we've reached the repeat, so it should be smooth sailing from here on out. All right, here we are at the end of the row. I've got my single crochet placed. Again, we're not doing a chain 1 at the end of this row, so I'm taking my stitch marker out. Okay, and I am slip stitching to the chain 1 space. This is what the back of mine looks like so far. And then I'm going to chain 2, skip this one, go directly into this stitch 2 rows below. Chain 1, skip into this one. Coming in hot with a quick voiceover because when I was originally recording, I said do this until you have 6 rows, but it is actually 7. So I will meet up with you once you have your 7 rows and we'll do the invisible join together. I have my chain 1 here. I'm gonna pull out, I don't know, like 6 inches-ish of yarn, and then if I can grab my scissors, I'm gonna cut it, pull out the excess, and then you're gonna grab your tapestry needle. I have a feeling my cat is about to jump on my desk, so just a heads up. Oh my gosh, and if I can thread this, Okay, good news, I did it. And I'm gonna go in between here in the chain 2 space. I'm gonna find the second one, and I'm gonna come from behind. We're essentially creating like a fake stitch. So I'm gonna pull through from the back. So come in from the back with the tapestry needle pointing towards you. Pull through. And then we're gonna come down the middle of this stitch. Pull it, you know, pretty tight. Can hold it, and then we're gonna go out the back. And actually, while we're doing this, I'm gonna go down in the stitch below as well, so I can tuck it. And then you just pull through, and that creates a nice finish. Apparently this is really popular in amigurumi, which I don't do a lot of, so explains why I wasn't that familiar with it. And then, you know, you can just finish it off as normal, tuck in your ends. I'll go through these two, and then back over and under a few times. And then I'll cut the excess. Okay, now we're gonna do our first color change. So, if you want to continue just doing one color, ignore this part, keep going, and do one more row in the same color. And you finish it the same way, this last row is the color one, so you would just keep doing it, finish it with an invisible join. Now I'm going to add my second color. Okay, I got yarn barf all over my workstation, but I'm going with it. We're gonna do a standing single crochet. If you've never done that, you actually might have done it and just like not known it, because I didn't know what it was for a while. I didn't even know what standing stitches were, and then I tried it and I was like, oh wait, I've done that before. So just like normal, make your slip stitch, use your hook. Perfect. Now, I like to start in the back because that's the part that's going to go underneath your head that nobody's going to see. And I'm just going to pick this spot to the right of this seam right here. And if you're having trouble identifying the seam, you can just look for the tail at the bottom. And we're going to go down 2 rows below like we've been doing. Insert your hook, yarn over. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Pull through, and you just did a standing single crochet. And we're just going to keep doing the same thing that we've been doing. So chain 1, we're skipping this seam, and then single crochet. You can crochet over your ends if you're an overachiever. Chain 1, and then we really just go around with this color. Oh, what'd I tell you? She really wants attention. It's almost her lunchtime. So I am just going to repeat this all the way around. And when I get to the end, same thing. I'm going to do the invisible join. And then I can cut and sew in my ends. So I will meet up with you then. Same thing. Coming up through the back and then through the middle of this stitch. Down and through. And this one, I'm going to go through this part as well. And just pull it. You can pull it pretty tight, you know, if it starts, you'll be able to tell if it's too tight. And then for now, I'm just going to leave this like this, but I'll come back to it. Okay, this is my favorite part. Personally, I don't know why, maybe because it's the last part. But we were working this way to add the last row, another color change row. We're gonna flip it. And I like starting, like I said, from the back because if it's lined up with the seam, then it just makes it a little bit less of an eyesore. Okay, making my slip knot. We're gonna do a standing single crochet. You know the drill. Let's start on this one. So we're going into, I'm gonna zoom in really good. Wait. Okay. We are gonna go into the base of the stitches from what's gonna look like the second row. So find the base, you can kind of pull it apart. That's where I'm putting my hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, there you go. And then I'm gonna chain one, and the chain one is we're skipping this stitch. And then you're gonna come to the seam. Don't sweat it too much. I'm just gonna place mine right about here so it's like kind of in line with this stitch. Chain one, and then we're like skipping this part. When I was first doing it, this part confused me because I would put my stitch right here, but no, don't do that. It goes in the base of this one. So again, you can pull it apart. It's your project. Do what you want with it. And we're gonna place our single crochet right here. Chain one, crochet over your ends if you'd like, and the next one is right here. And then right there, and that is pretty much it. Just remember to finish with an invisible join and you are good to go.